Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is virtual class of Pakistan International School Thai. I am Muhammad Yasin. This virtual class is for the students of grade 5. We are going to start our chapter 15 today. This is our 28th video in this class. After today's lesson, we shall be able to understand the passage given in chapter 15. We shall be able to understand the meaning and correct pronunciation of new words. We shall do some exercises of this chapter also. Let us have a look of new words which are used in this lesson. Some of you may be familiar with some of these or all of these words. We can look at the correct pronunciation also. The first word is clip. You can see the pictures of different types of clips. This is a small metal that is used to hold things together. Coward is someone who is not brave and does not do dangerous things. Curtain is a piece of material that hangs down to cover the window. Scratch is when we rub our skin with our nails. Some lines are produced. Those are called scratches on our skin. Okay, students. In our today's lesson, we shall focus passive with agent. Our focus of language structure will be on passive voice with agent. As this exercise is dealing with passive voice, let us try to understand what is active voice and what is passive voice. Dear students, the sentence can be in active voice and the sentence can be in passive voice. You can see here in the examples, this first sentence is given in active voice and the second sentence is given in passive voice, but the meaning of both sentences is the same. Meaning is same. Let us try to understand here. What does it mean when we say sentence is in active voice? The active voice describes a sentence where the subject performs the action. What happens in active voice sentence? The subject performs the action stated by the verb. Verb always tell us about an action. It follows a clear subject plus verb plus object. In an active voice sentence, first of all, there will be subject. As you can see here, a little girl is the subject of the sentence. A little girl is the subject of the sentence which is mentioned here. In active voice sentence, after subject, there will be verb. What is the verb here? Found. What is the verb here? Found. And then there will be object. What is the object of this sentence? The purse. The object of this sentence is the purse. This is the construction of active voice sentence. With passive voice, the subject is acted upon by the verb. In second sentence, you can see the purse has become the subject of second sentence. And this subject is not doing anything. If you look at the subject of first sentence, the little girl is doing something. What is she doing? She is finding the purse. In second sentence, our subject is the purse. Is the purse finding the girl? No, the purse is not doing anything. In fact, the purse is acted upon by the verb. The verb is done. The work is done on the subject. That is why the second sentence is called passive voice sentence, because the subject is passive. It is not doing anything. Here in first sentence, the subject is active. It is doing some work. But in second sentence, the subject is not doing anything. In our today's lesson, we shall deal with passive sentences with agent. What is agent? The little girl. The object is given here. The little girl. This is the agent of this sentence. It is written after by. After by, if there is a noun, anything, that is the agent of passive. We shall deal with second type of sentences in our today's lesson. Let us move forward in our lesson. Dear students, this is the top of our chapter 15. We are going to start. We shall read our lesson. I shall read main points. You can read it by yourself later, word to word. Let us start the reading and try to understand what is said here in this lesson. Robert Bruce and the spider. Spider, you can see I have given here a picture also. This is spider. You might have seen it in the park or anywhere other. This is spider. It has ability to produce a soft thread, and with the help of this thread it makes web. It makes web in which it lives. Robert Bruce, we shall read about Robert Bruce. He was the king of Scotland. Let us move the paragraph and try to understand. Most English school children are told this story by their teachers. It happened hundreds of years ago in Scotland. Scotland is a country which is joined to England in the north. Today, England and Scotland are one country, but at that time they were two countries. Scotland was ruled by a king called Robert Bruce. Who was Robert Bruce? Robert Bruce was the king of Scotland. England was governed by King Edward I. Who was the king of England at that time? King Edward I was the king of England. Here in this paragraph, we have learned about two kings. Robert Bruce, the king of Scotland. Edward I, the king of England. Let us move forward. This is paragraph 2. Edward wanted to be king of Scotland too. Edward, who was it? Edward, he was king of England. He wanted to be the king of Scotland also. He wanted to be the king of Scotland also. Who was the king of Scotland? Robert Bruce. The Scots, the people of Scotland, said that the English were foreigners and they did not want to be ruled by foreign king. The people of Scotland said, we don't want Edward I to be our king because he is Englishman and we don't want him our king. So Edward attacked Scotland. Edward said, no, I shall be the king of Scotland. He attacked on Scotland with an army. There were many battles, yes, which were won by the English. The English were a big nation. They had a big army. They won the battles. Robert Bruce fought bravely because he was not a coward. Robert Bruce was a good soldier, but his country was small, his army was small. He was beaten by the English. Okay, after being beaten, what did he do? The English tried to catch Robert and he had to leave Scotland. The Robert Bruce ran away. he left the Scotland, and sadly he went to a small island and hid in a hut. Hut is a small house made of straws, branches of trees. Dear students, when we are reading this passage, try to understand it. Try to focus it in such a way that you could read out the story to anyone other after finishing this passage. You should be able to read out this story. This is a story. And when we read a story, we remember it. We should be able to read out in our own words. This is the target of this reading. This is the target of this reading. If you are listening it carefully, you should be able to read out in your own words without looking from the book. He had lost all hope of beating the English. Now Robert Bruce has run away from Scotland. He is in a small house, small hut, and he is not thinking to win the English. He is lost. He has nothing, no army. He had gone away from Scotland. He is sitting in a hut. What is the use trying any more, he said. He is thinking, I should not do anything now. I cannot be successful. He is thinking like this. Just then, just at that time, when he was thinking, I cannot win the battle, he saw a spider. In the hut, he saw a spider trying to make a web. Web is a net that a spider can make. The spider had fastened one end of its thread to the ceiling, and it was swinging in the air on the other end. It was trying to reach the floor with its thread. The thread broke and the spider dropped to the floor. It climbed up the wall to the ceiling. It went up to the ceiling again and tried again. What was the web trying to do? What was the spider trying to do? The spider was trying to make a web from the ceiling to the floor. He had fixed the one end of the thread with the ceiling, and he was hanging. But before reaching the floor, what was happening? The thread was breaking. The thread was not strong enough to keep him holding in the air until he reaches the floor. The thread was breaking again and again, and he was not able to do several times. Robert Bruce saw the thread was breaking. The thread broke again. Again and again the spider tried. It would not stop trying. At last it succeeded. Oh yes. Robert Bruce saw the spider tried again and again, and at last it was succeeded. Robert Bruce thought, if a spider can keep trying until it succeeds, I can do the same. I have tried to beat the English many times, but I will try again. Yes, students. Do you understand? What the Robert Bruce learned from the spider? The Robert Bruce learned from the spider that if we try again and again, we can be successful. Now he decided, I shall fight again. Okay. He went back to Scotland and gathered together his small army. King Edward was in England at that time. King Edward was not in Scotland. He was living in England, but he had left a big army in Scotland. He had left a big part of his army in Scotland. Robert Bruce and his followers attacked the English soldiers and began to push them back towards England. I'm sorry. Yes, students, Robert Bruce collected his small army and pushed the English army back towards the English. When King Edward heard this, he decided to return to Scotland immediately. When the King Edward, who was living in England, heard that Robert Bruce has gathered a small army once again, he decided to come in Scotland. When he was going to Scotland, what happened? On the journey to north, he died, but he sent his son Edward II to continue the fight against the Scots. The two kings met in famous battle of Bannockburn. In this battle, who was fighting? Edward II. Edward II, who was the son of Edward I, was fighting with Robert Bruce. This Edward II had 10,000 men in his army, and Robert Bruce had only 3,000 men in his army. 3,000 is little, is less number of soldiers, fewer number of soldiers than 10,000. Robert Bruce is fighting with the English army having 3,000 soldiers, and the English army had 10,000 soldiers. But luck was on the side of Scots. Edward was a poor soldier. Edward II. Here is Edward II, who was the son of Edward I. He was not a good soldier, and the English were defeated. Yes, English were defeated at this time because Edward I was not the commander of the army. The Scots had won their freedom from English rule. Yes, the British army was defeated this time, and Robert Bruce won the battle. When children are told this story by their teachers, they are taught to remember the lesson learned by Robert Bruce. If at first you don't succeed, try again. This is the lesson that we learn from this story, that if we are not successful when we are trying to do something, we should try again and again until we succeed. This is the lesson that we learn from this story. Dear students, this is the first exercise. In this first exercise, we shall put a tick by the true sentences and a cross by the untrue sentences. The story happened in the north part of England. The story did not happen in the England. The England army attacked on Scotland. To attack on Scotland, English army should be in Scotland. This means the story happened in Scotland, not in England. We shall do this exercise. Okay, what is the first part? The story happened in the north part of England. Is this true? No. The story did not happen in England. It happened in Scotland. That is why we shall put a cross here. Part number 2, Edward I was the King of Scotland. No, King of Scotland was Robert Bruce, not Edward I. This part is also false. The Scots did not want to be ruled by Edward. Yes, Scotland, people of Scotland said we don't want Edward as our king. This part is true. We shall put a tick. Robert Bruce won all the battles because he fought bravely. He fought bravely is correct, but he won all the battles is not correct. That is why we shall put a cross over there. Robert went to the hut on the island to take a rest before attacking the English again. Did he go to the hut to take some rest and attack the English again? No, he went to the island. He was sitting in a hut to take rest. It is okay. But he was not thinking to attack the English again. He was defeated. He was not thinking to attack the English army again. That is why this part is also false. Let us move forward. Next part is, the spider was trying to make a web from the ceiling to the floor. Yes, it is true. The spider was trying to make a web. When the thread broke, the spider dropped to the floor and was killed. Was the spider killed? No, he was not killed. He started trying again. He was trying again and again. This part is false. The spider tried again and again until it succeeded. Yes, the spider at the end was successful. This part is true. Robert went back to Scotland, where he had a big army. Dear students, Robert went back to Scotland is true. But he had a big army is not true. There was not a big army waiting for Robert Bruce. Dear students, we have to decide about the whole sentence, complete sentence. If the complete sentence is true, we shall write here true. If one part is true, one part is false, we shall write false. We shall write true only if the whole of the sentence is true. Here we can see he had a big army in Scotland. Is it true? No. That is why we shall write here cross. King Edward and the English army were in England. Dear students, King Edward was in England. That is okay. The English army were in England. English army was in England also. But one part of English army was in Scotland also. After defeating the Scots, the people of Scotland, after winning the battle, the Edward I left a lot of army in Scotland. The whole army was not in England. That is why this part will also be a false statement. King Edward I died on the way to Scotland. Yes, when he heard from the people that Robert Bruce has gathered a small army and he is pushing English army towards the England, he decided to go to Scotland. When he was going to Scotland, he died. This statement is true. Robert Bruce was a better soldier than Edward II. Yes, this statement is true. Robert Bruce was a good soldier. Edward I was a good soldier. But this is Edward II. This Edward II is the son of Edward I. This Edward II, the son of Edward I, was not a good soldier. That is why Robert Bruce was better than Edward II, because Edward II was the son of Edward I and he was not a good soldier. Therefore, this statement will be true. The English lost the Battle of Bannockburn because their army was smaller than the Scottish army. Dear students, if you look, there are two parts in this sentence also. English lost the Battle of Bannockburn. This is true. This is true. They lost the Battle of Bannockburn because their army was smaller. Their army was not smaller than the Scottish army. Their army was 10,000 and Scottish army was 3,000. There were 10,000 soldiers in their army. In English army there were 10,000 soldiers, and in Scottish army there were 3,000 soldiers only. Therefore this statement will be wrong. It will be false statement. This statement is saying their army was smaller, but English army was not smaller. That is why this statement will be a false statement. Let us move forward. Dear students, here we are set to make 28 sentences. From this table, you will write all these sentences in your homework, in your notebook. Let us try to understand how can we make 28 sentences from this small table. Do you think we can make 28 sentences from this table? Okay, you come with me. We shall try to understand how can we make 28 sentences. Let us try to understand. We have learned to try again and again. Let us try here to make 28 sentences. Okay, our first sentence will be the food is cooked by the children. The food is cooked by the children. Our second sentence will be the food is being cooked by the children. Our third sentence will be the food had been cooked by the children. Fourth sentence will be the food was cooked by the children. How are we making sentences? If we look, we are joining cooked with by, and then after by we are writing the children. Do you understand? In this way, if we use all these phrases, words and phrases, this means just like this, we can make how many sentences? 7 sentences. We shall make how many sentences? 7. Okay. Now, by using cooked, we can make 7 sentences if we use the children after by. If we use the children, we can make 7 sentences. Is that okay? Okay, after this, what shall we do? We shall not use the children. Now we shall use Miss Ali. The food is cooked by Miss Ali. The food is being cooked by Miss Ali. The food had been cooked by Miss Ali. First we made 7 sentences by using the children. Now can we make 7 more sentences by using Miss Ali? Yes. How many sentences have we made? 7 by using the children, 7 by using Miss Ali. Okay, we have made 7 plus 7, 14 sentences. How many sentences have we made? 14. Come back here. We have made 14 sentences by using cooked. How many sentences have we made by using cooked? 14. 7 plus 7, 14. Okay. Now try to understand. If we can make 14 sentences by using cooked, can we not make 14 sentences by using eaten? In the same way as we use cooked. As we used cooked here to make 14 sentences, now we shall use eaten to make more 14 sentences. Yes, is that clear now? 14 plus 14 will be 28. Have we made 28 sentences? Yes, we have made 28 sentences. That is good. I think you know now how to make 28 sentences from this table. Yes, students. In your homework, you will read the passage given in this chapter and try to read it 2, 3, 4 times until you develop better understanding of this passage. After that, you will do all exercises of this chapter in your notebook, which are done today. We did 2 exercises in our today's lesson. One is true false. You will write true false exercise in your notebook by writing complete sentences. First write complete sentence, then at the end put a cross or tick to show the sentence is true or false. After that, you will write 28 sentences in your notebook from that table. No need is there to draw the table in your notebook. You can see the table from the book to write 28 sentences in your notebook. That will be your today's homework. That is all from our today's lesson. See you later in a new lesson. Goodbye.